Hello everybody, welcome to Midwest Imagery. I'm getting asked an awful lot to show you a few more Photoshop tricks and methods, and towards that end, today I'm going to show you a picture that no matter how hard I tried, what angle I wanted to get, I couldn't get the clearance that I wanted to on this picture, so I touched it just a little bit. And it's a picture that you'll see pretty quick. And when I do things like this to images like this, I'm always going to point out that I made some changes to the picture. In this case, this isn't any photojournalism or anything like that, so I'm not too concerned about it. But I'd like to point out that I'm not trying to pass off a picture as something other than the way it was. And you'll see how I made it, and you'll see how I fix it to get it the way that I actually wanted to compose it within the limitations that I was working in that day. So give me a couple minutes to set my screen up and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and we're going to be working on this picture today. It's a PSD file, a Photoshop document. And we can see that this kid is jumping over easily 48 inches. But what I wanted to is get him just a little bit above this building here. So since my angle wasn't right and I couldn't really move these things so that I could get there, we're going to do this in post-processing. So I'm just going to double click on this thumbnail and it'll open right into Photoshop. And there it is. So you can see again, I wanted him to be clearing this building a little bit, but I couldn't move the pads out of the way, and I couldn't get low enough to make it look like he was clearing the building here. So we're going to let Photoshop do this for us. And the first thing I'm going to do is select this subject. Photoshop has come a long ways with their selection tools, and it's going to do most of the heavy lifting here for us. So what I'm going to do is go up under my select menu, choose subject, and let Photoshop do its thing. And there it is. The only thing it did was also select our pads here, but we're going to just subtract this from the selection. I'll get my lasso tool and I will hold my option key down. You notice by the lasso tool, when I hold the option key down, there's a minus right by it. That just means that we're going to subtract from the selection. I'm just going to circle this, pads, and subtract that from the selection. Now we only have the jumper selected, and I'm going to put him on his own layer by using the keyboard shortcut Command J. And there he is. Right there, I'll select it out. Which is just what we wanted. So now I'm going to duplicate this background layer using that same keyboard shortcut, Command J, and I'm going to rename this layer to Retouch. I'm going to turn this layer off, and we're going to work on the retouch layer. Okay, what we're going to do is reselect this selection. I'm going to hold my command key and click on this layer thumbnail to reselect it. And now he's reselected. I'm going back to my background copy, making sure that this is active. I'm going to rename that Retouch. And I'm going to fill this selection with this foreground color. And I do that by holding the option key and pressing the delete key. And there he's filled. I'm going to deselect this using Command D to deselect it. And you see that we've got some outlines left, but that's no big deal. What I'm going to do here is just make my brush a little bigger with the right bracket key and paint out those edges. because we have the same color as the sky as our foreground brush color, so we can paint that out pretty easily. I'm going to go down here, make my brush smaller, and get these edges out of the way. Just like that. Zoom out, Command minus. Now I'm still on my retouch layer, and I'm going to use a clone tool, the clone stamp tool, and that just looks like a little stamp right here in your toolbox, clone stamp. It's also the letter S on the keyboard. And what we do with the clone stamp tool is, it's also a brush, but we have to choose a piece of this image that we want to clone from. Since I'm making this corner of this building, I'm going to sample the roof line right about here. I hold the Option key, and notice that the cursor turns into a crosshair. So then I'm just going to click on this part, and now inside of my brush tool, my clone stamp tool shows that selection piece, which also helps us to keep the lines lined up. And all I'm going to go down here is to this edge, and I'm going to start clicking and painting. And I want to be careful to not go over a part that hasn't already been cloned. Otherwise we'll be seeing sky through there. So I let go of my click, and I click again, and I'm just going to kind of nudge it down to where the corner should probably be. Sort of like that. I'm going to do the same thing with the line right about here. I'm going to hold my Option key, make sure that the horizontal lines in the crosshair are lined up with this opening there too. So then I click, and I move my brush down towards this neighborhood and fill that in. Kind of like that. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, Command plus, so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller yet, and I'm going to hold the Option key and make sure that the vertical line is on the edge of that building now, and click. Now I'm just going to fill in this edge. I'm going to let go of my click and click again. Let go of my click and click again. One more time. Get me up to the top. Now we still have a little bit of the jumper's outline here, so I'm just going to go back here and I'm going to click, and we'll paint this out too. I'm going to clean this a little bit up. I'm going to click right over here, drag down, get that a little clean, kind of like that. And then I'm going to clean this edge up right here. So click in this area and start painting. And one more time. Kind of make that edge look a little better. Clean it up a touch. Touch this little piece right here. And I'm going to clean up this little edge just a touch. Little shadow line right there. Zoom out, Command minus, and that looks pretty good. Okay, now we're going to go back to our jumper layer. We'll rename this jumper and turn that back on. And there he is. Perfect. Just perfect, right? What's changed? Right now, nothing. Except for when I hold my command key down and use my up arrow key just to nudge him up a little bit. Get him just to clear that roof, just a little bit like that. And that's it. And that's how we can move an image, a piece of an image in our shots. Now, again, we're looking at this. I mean, he's easily clearing this 4 feet, so I don't really have much difficulty giving him a couple more inches so that it looks like he's going to be clearing that building. Plus, it gives it a little bit more balance. Just a small fix, and this is something that you might consider doing with some of these pictures like yours too. And that's going to do it for this part of it. So give me a couple of minutes to shut my screen down, and I'll be right back. Okay, that was an easy fix how to change a part of your image in a subject. You can use these methods to make composites too. We could have made several duplicates of the figure in that picture and had him make him somersaulting over it or whatever we wanted to do. But those are the basic steps towards selecting out part of an image and moving it a little bit in that shot. And this shot was pretty simple because our sky was pretty monochromatic, and we could use the clone stamp tool and a brush to pick everything out to hide the original that we needed to do. And that's the beauty of the layers in Photoshop. You can build your images up by using separate layers on this, but as you see, we only had to use 3 for this shot to make it look a little bit better. And I will say again too that I won't do this kind of work without saying, look, this is what I did to it, just because sometimes you can't get the exact shot that you wanted to and you have to help it a little bit, and that's what I did. So let me know what you think. I'm going to wrap it up right here. I look forward to all of your questions. I want to thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you soon.